Hello, lovelies. Doing things a little bit different today. Welcome to my channel if you are new, and welcome back if you are returning lovely. My name is Kat, and I am here sharing my story and my experiences to be relatable to all of you out there that are kind of going through some stuff right now. So, doing things differently today, I wanted to kind of maybe go about this with like a podcast kind of a style, and I wanted to bring on my lovely mom, who I always talk about. So I want you guys to say hello. This is my mom, Cindy.
Hello.
So as I was meditating this morning, I had a lot coming through, and not just this morning with meditation, but a lot within the last few weeks about discerning between the different voices. Yeah, there might be some background noise here, but there's always some background noise in videos and stuff. So, well, in my videos. um, so really discerning between the different voices that we hear, discerning between the ego voice. What does the intuition sound like? Are you psychic, and are you hearing voices from past loved ones or other spirits that are trying to connect with you? Are you hearing from other galactic beings? What does this sound like? How do you discern? Um, so I don't really know how we're gonna go about this. We're just kind of winging this as usual, just going with the flow. Um, and then I will just kind of like get your opinion on things, and you can ask me questions. And
That works for me.
yeah, okay. So, what really started this, I've been seeing this pattern of the two wolves coming in. And so, if you're not familiar, or if you guys are not familiar with the story of the two wolves, I'm not sure where it originates. I know it is a Native American story, basically about these two wolves. Which one do you feed? There's a good wolf, there's a bad wolf. Um, and basically, your life kind of, the your reality will be determined by which wolf you feed. Do you feed this good wolf that is based off of good intention and doing good in the world, or do you feed this seemingly bad wolf, which,
And most people would say, feed the good wolf because that's the one that does not bring chaos.
right,
However, I'm sure there's a twist.
right. Well, and that twist is that we're programmed, right? So
Right.
I just recently had this epiphany, and I think it's funny, a little backstory. When I started my job at the current pharmacy that I'm working at, I started in office, and I was kind of struggling a little bit because I'm very much used to starting jobs and just picking things up like that, and just really excelling really quickly. And it wasn't that I wasn't doing that with this job. It was just, there's a lot more to it.
Yeah.
The volume is a lot higher. The processes are just a lot more complex. It was just more information to take on. So I was struggling a little bit with my ego and my judgment on myself. I was holding myself to a really high standard, and then getting down on myself because I wasn't producing the results I expected of myself. And so I had started listening to this podcast, and now I can't remember what it's called. But it was literally based off of these two wolves, and the story of the two wolves. And if I can remember what the name of the podcast was, I will link it. I'll link it below. But it was essentially following this story of the two wolves, and he applies this parable. I want to say he applies this a parable to daily life and stories like that, and it has different people that will come on to his podcast to discuss their personal experiences. So I find it really funny that this story, this parable, was kind of brought into my life at really the beginning of this journey for me, and then now it's popping up
Again.
again, but I'm
Yeah.
actually seeing a different perspective.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing this bad wolf as ego, and
Okay.
I'm seeing the good wolf as intuition, higher self,
That makes perfect sense.
right?
Yeah, it actually really does. Yeah.
So, where did I want to go with this? I think a lot of people, and share with us if you struggle with uh, this issue of hearing different voices in your head, but you can't really discern what is what. Like, you don't really know which one to listen to, but oftentimes they are opposing. You hear a really, really negative voice, which most of the time,
Is your ego?
and we listen to it.
Yes. More than we should.
Right.
It's kind of hard to shut her up.
But then there's also that one voice, and I know everybody has this. We all have psychic abilities. We all have an intuition, a higher self that we're tapped into. We're
Right.
just very much programmed to not have our power. We're programmed to forget these things that we know. So I think I think where the struggle lies is, the ego is programmed to overpower that other voice. And where that other voice pops in is, um, when you make subtle decisions in your life. A little example like, making a turn or looking down at your speedometer, looking at your clock. We get
Right.
that a lot. We see that a lot with synchronicities
Yes.
where, and you don't really, you don't know what it is, and most people will say, I don't know what it was. Something told me to do this, something told me to look this way or do this or that. Well, that something is your higher self, it's your intuition. And as I've talked about on videos before, it, if you want to look at it from the perspective of, a forest, you're walking through this forest, your higher self is up on this cliff, and can see everything that's ahead, can see within the forest. They know what's happening, so they're able to guide you through this kind of distorted world that we live in, and that's how it comes out.
Right.
um so
Well, I think with myself, I have
I was just gonna ask, like, do you have personal
I
experiences?
well, I do, and what I'm learning is a combination of things. Your intuition is very strong, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think all of us, at least I know with myself, I struggled with listening to my intuition and going off of what my intuition was telling me, my basically what my gut was telling me, so
Mm-hmm.
to speak. And so now I'm learning that, um, if I go in and I go to pick up a crystal, or I go to, if I'm shopping for crystals or whatever it is, I'm going with where my hand is going first,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like that is my intuition telling me this is a good one.
Right.
And I don't second guess. And that's what I've been trying to, this is what I've been doing when I talk to my friends and such, that
Mm-hmm.
uh, go with what your intuition is. Don't doubt it.
Right.
Because I spent a lot of years doubting my intuition and not listening to it. And it was not a pleasant journey in some spots.
Right.
The sarcastic or the questionable or the, are you sure you want to do that? That would be Sally, my ego.
Uh-huh.
And I know she's a program.
Yeah.
I know that she's supposed to, quote unquote, protect me and, guide me down that right path, or not, just basically living in fear.
Right.
And I think she creates a lot of fear thoughts. The ones that I hear that are loving and guiding and not doubting is from my higher self, is from my guides,
Mm-hmm.
is, the ones that are with me all the time.
Right.
And so that's how I discern them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a work in progress, and
It is.
being able to hear, I haven't heard any different sounding voices.
Like something that sounds other than like your voice in your own head.
Exactly.
Right.
I know that one of my ascended masters is, Chuck, or Charles to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what he sounds like, but I can imagine
Right.
what he sounds like. And my goal actually is to be able to hear the different voices.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I said, that's a work in progress.
Uh, I I agree. It is. I think this whole spiritual journey really is a work in progress. I mean, we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always expanding. Um,
But that's what we're supposed to be doing.
right. Where I think my opinion differs from other people is they say that we're always healing, and I don't necessarily, that doesn't really resonate with me. And I think that's just because we've very much been living in a low vibrational prison of sorts, uh, that have kept us kind of in that state.
Of turmoil.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and so I feel like once you heal from that and you shift to a higher vibration, you shift out of that cycle of perpetual suffering.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't see how you would be constantly healing if you've already healed from everything, and your baggage is you've transmuted all of this low vibrational energy. What more do you have to heal from? I
Right.
do agree that we are always growing, always learning.
Right.
Like even those of us that resonate with being teachers or guides. I don't consider myself to be a leader because I think leaders, there's this negative connotation around there being like a superiority around that, and I don't see myself in that position, but I do see myself as a guide and a teacher. But even the guides and the teachers are always learning, always growing. I mean, that's the whole point of this creatrix, this matrix,
Right.
this universe, is to expand and to create and to see things through different perspectives. But I think the whole point of the design is to be doing it through love,
Right.
which is where things got a little mixed up. And we know, as we've discussed, that that's a much deeper story to be exposed,
Yeah. Yeah.
in phases and in waves. But we're shifting into a time where that is no longer. So I genuinely feel that once we heal from all of the stuff that we've been through and we release that baggage and we transmute all that energy, we're not healing any longer. I don't know. Does that resonate with you?
To a certain extent, it does. I guess my question would be: are we truly ever 100% healed, or is that a personal?
I think that's very much a personal journey. For me, it resonates that if I'm going through and I'm adamant about releasing baggage from every aspect of my multidimensional self, all of the timelines, all of the realities, everything that I've experienced that's essentially attached to that, my energetic fingerprint, my energetic signature. If I'm releasing all of that low vibrational energy, I'm getting rid of all of that distorted coding. Um, I don't see where there is healing. I do see where there is still that continued work in progress to make sure that you're not being affected by or inflicted by maybe like continued low vibrational energies that are still surrounding other people that are still going through healing.
Right.
I can see that, or like if you're an empath and you might be like picking up on those, I can see why you might have to release that stuff. But as far as like a personal healing journey, no, I feel like if you intend to release and heal and get rid of all of that stuff, rewrite your programs, rewrite your contracts.
Agreed. Agreed.
No, I don't think that you're always healing.
I think that you are. I think you're right, though.
Yeah.
When you're still functioning in this.
Being in the world but not of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I go to work. I do a 9 to 5, and
Mm-hmm.
so when I get done, I release the negative,
Mm-hmm.
any negative or low vibrational things that might have attached to me or influenced me today, and release it so that when I come home and it's cleared, and I can come into my safe space at home and know that that's not going to be affected. But I
Right.
think on a daily basis, yeah, whenever we come in contact with anybody, walking next to somebody in a grocery store,
Yeah, anyone,
something along that
anything.
line, it's not intentional
Mm-hmm.
that that if they are of low vibration. But I'm also finding too that the more that we clear ourselves and the more that we generate the atmosphere that we want to be in,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have the lower vibrational situations coming within our, so in quotes, our space.
Right. Yeah, and I mean that goes back to that whole concept of your external reality is a reflection of your internal. So if you're vibing at these or you're at these vibrations of love and light and this peace, joy, abundance, that's your reality inside.
Yeah.
That's going to project outward, but then you're also going to attract that to you.
Right.
So I mean, for those of you out there that are doing this, you're on this same journey, continue doing the work, and you'll see the results. It's like the more that you stay in this really positive, abundant mindset, you'll find that you're surrounded by people like that, or you find that you're living in a world of chaos, but you're just walking in this like peaceful bubble, and you're just not surrounded by it, even though you might be on the road driving and you have somebody who's in a funk, we'll just say, and they
Yeah.
kind of speed past you or do whatever that you know
Yeah.
you might find that you're not surrounded by those things, but then you also might find that you're not triggered by those things and you're
That's the
not
biggest thing.
reacting to it either.
That's what I've learned is not letting things trigger. And one of the things that you taught me was that if you're delayed in something, there's a reason for it.
Oh gosh, yes.
You may not know what the reasoning was.
Mm-hmm.
It may be completely out of your sight or out of your acknowledgement or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it was for a reason.
Right.
So just understand that. And
yes.
Are you a person that stops when it turns yellow, or are you a person that pushes it to the point where it turns red in the middle of the intersection?
Just like we saw yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. And no negative
no, there's
thoughts
no
towards that person. It's
no
just
judgment.
The way they are, and that I was that person.
Right.
I was that person that would push that to the extent, and the transition that I've gone through in the last 6 months has been tremendous. And I've learned so much, but I think one of the biggest things that has helped me is the fact that you're my sounding board. You're my teacher. You're the one that has taught me how to get a different way of adapting, a different way of looking at things, and the way of thinking, excuse me. And that goes for anybody who is, out there that is absolutely brand new, learning this. Do not give up. Find your community will come to you.
Right.
And you're going, well, okay, I haven't seen my community yet.
Yeah.
I'm still dealing with some of these, people.
But I want to make a note on that. A lot of the time, your community isn't ready for you, and you're not ready for your community because you're still kind of in this hermit mode. It's like there's still processes. It goes back to that, the delays.
Yeah.
We need these delays because we need these self-actualizations. We need these epiphanies. We need to have those little puzzle pieces for our bigger picture in order to be able to move on to the next step. So yeah, I think it's important to take time to reflect on those. I don't know about you, but like, I don't do it all the time because I'd like to be very much in the present moment. But when I get through these phases, especially after a really low slump where I'm just like feeling down on myself, I get through these moments where I have these epiphanies, and I like to sit there for a moment and meditate and just kind of reflect on my accomplishments and how far I've come, but also reflect on those little things where I was just like, ugh, I don't understand why this is happening. Ugh, I don't understand why this is happening. But reach a point where I can look back and see how the dominoes fell, and I can see, oh, I see why this delay happened, and this delay, and this delay, and then in having that awareness and that acceptance, it's more than just awareness. It's having that acceptance of you really, I think, leaves room for that trust, that surrender, that faith that things are really, really working out divinely exactly how they're supposed to. And it goes back to the whole reason why you get frustrated is because your ego is programmed to control.
Right.
And while it worked and it benefited us during this cycle where we needed to be protected, we're shifting out of that. We have shifted out of that. I'm not saying shifting. We have shifted out of that. And we are in a new phase where trust and surrender and listening to our intuitions and our higher selves, our guides, the universe, whatever you want to name it, that is actually going to um, produce more positive results than the latter.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Definitely. I yeah, I agree.
I think this has been really, really, really beneficial. I don't know if there's much more I want to touch on at this point. I think you giving your examples will, not that me giving my life examples aren't beneficial, but I just think people being able to hear somebody else's perspective, somebody else, coming from their own struggles,
Right.
because we do. And even though I've shared my own darkness, you've gone through your own darkness
Correct.
in your life. And I think it's funny because, like, if we got into it, being that we're mother and daughter, you've passed on your ancestral baggage to me, we could see that there are different personality traits that we share, and
Yes.
different programmings and different things that we've worked through together within the last 6 months. So it hasn't just been me doing the work, it's been you as well. So
Yeah, it's been very, very enlightening, and I'm absolutely loving it, and anxious for what the next steps are, what tomorrow brings, what the rest of the day brings.
right,
Just step by moment, and it's exciting. It's absolutely exciting,
right,
and I
whereas
love it.
before it used to be really, really terrifying.
Yeah, it's what I'm more excited about is the fact that um, the confidence that I'm carrying,
Mm-hmm.
the things that I do not allow to affect me anymore. And, I shared this with you before that when I was at work, I've always wanted to be not the center of attention, but I didn't want to feel like I was left out.
Right.
And I would sit at my desk and cry because, oh, this person didn't talk to me, or this person didn't want to hang out with me,
Yeah.
or whatever the deal is. And now it's like I go to work, I do my job,
Mm-hmm.
I allow people to be who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Do I allow it to affect me? No, I don't. And so I don't sit at my desk anymore and cry. I go in, I enjoy my job the best that I can, and I associate with the people that um, bring me the love and light that I need, or the
Mm-hmm.
joy, or I just don't allow myself to dip down in that 3D
Right.
muck, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's so much better. It's so much more. It's like a breath of fresh air. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
And also acknowledging that, like, you're there for a reason. If you're intending that things that are no longer serving you are being um eclipsed out of your life, if you
Yeah.
will,
Yeah.
but you're still in a situation that your ego might find to be not pleasurable or not desirable, I think it's also important to acknowledge that, hey, okay, maybe I'm here for a reason.
Right.
Maybe I'm here anchoring my light, and I'm here to help other people that might be struggling, to get through the darkness.
Right.
So,
And whether it's one or whether it's 20 or whether it's, just putting it out there, it's going to it's gonna help people or resonate with people as it's supposed to.
mm-hmm.
And it's not a savior complex. It's not anything else along that line. It's just, for me, it's like I love this feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I like really seeing the negativity. It is a work in progress.
Yeah.
And but if I can help one person, that to me is fantastic.
Yeah.
I've done what I need to do, and wait for my next moments to come.
Right. So, yeah.
Hang in there. If I can tell anybody, hang in there. Do the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a strong advocate of Reiki, and also of sound healing. I know the functionality of it,
mm-hmm.
and if you have anybody that that does it, look it up, find it out. Seek and find whatever you feel resonates with you,
Yeah.
and do it. It's a great proponent of healing.
Yeah.
and I love it.
And ultimately, what that comes down to is self love, because that's where
Yep.
it all starts. I mean, we're all connected.
Yep.
So even if you're not directly helping somebody, that one person that you want to help, know that you doing this work for yourself, making sure that your body, mind, soul, you're all sound and you're healed and you're balanced and you're loving yourself unconditionally for who you are, that is making it's undeniably a ripple effect
Yeah.
throughout
Agreed.
the world. So all right, guys, I think we're going to leave it there. As always, love, light, and blessings to you, beauties. And if you haven't already and you want to join our lovely tribe, please, please subscribe. But if not, I'm so glad that you were here and joined us for this. This was
This
fabulous.
was fun.
I really enjoyed this, and
Yep.
we'll probably do this in the future again. So until then, take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.